Alright everybody, welcome to our first game today at the North America version of Enter the Storm. First season actually, and we have the BOB Ross Fanclub going up against eLevate in our first game today. Sky Temple is the map, and of course BOB Ross Fanclub, they have played so far only one qualifier and they won it, but afterwards Arthelan had to move and therefore they couldn't participate in the rest of the qualifiers. You don't really qualify for the playoffs by just winning a tournament, the qualifier tournament, but you have to actually like gather points. They're trying to do that again since they already dropped down to like, I think, third place in the ranking. eLevate, on the other hand, they want to still collect a couple of points themselves here, and we have in this case now in the best of one on our fifth qualifier in the first round, an Abathur ban by the BOB Ross Fanclub immediately right off the bat on Sky Temple. Experience soaking here is pretty popular. Oftentimes you still see bans on the majors. When it comes to drafting in general, it's like really super interesting to see right now how the differences between the regions work. I mean, I'm casting quite a few of the Chinese games now as well that are played in Gold League, and the drafting over there is completely different. And then you have these subtle differences between Europe and North America as well. In this case, we have a Tyrande ban, and we have on the side of the BOB Ross Fanclub an ETC. And usually what you're trying to do with an ETC is you are attempting to combo him off with either Tyrande or with an Uther, and Uther is picked away from them. Not really a big surprise there. You don't want to give your opponent that chance to go into Mosh Pit plus Divine Shield, because it's basically an uninterruptible Mosh Pit that will stun you out completely. But the BOB Ross Fanclub, they have now an opportunity to go into a Jaina if they want to. It's pretty interesting to see how Jaina from some teams is more or less ignored, whereas others still put a very high priority on her. But Khaldor these days is definitely the mage that most teams prioritize a little bit more. So the start into the draft for eLevate is actually not really bad. It's actually a pretty solid start for them. Uther already securing them the flexibility later on to maybe head into a melee assassin. They can combo him off with a Sonya. So BOB Ross Fanclub has to really think about, okay, do we maybe pick a Sonya? Do we ban her out? I'm loving the move to go Falstad, because that's something that North America has so far more or less been ignoring completely. In Europe, Falstad is a super big deal. It's like one of these heroes that is picked over Arena. It's amazing how much auto attack damage he can dish out. Seasoned Marksman cannot be taken level 1 since Blizzard moved Power Throw from a level 1 to a level 4 talent, so he's even stronger than he was before. And in most of the North American tournaments, Falstad doesn't really play a big role. But the BOB Ross Fanclub here, picking him super early, so already prioritizing him way over any other damage dealer, like for example a Jaina, like a Reyna, or even a Vala. So that's a pretty cool start for them. They have the mobility on the map, and therefore, of course, also the opportunity to soak additional experience here. And they combo that off with a second damage dealer as well. They put a Reyna in. So that's two heroes that could go for Seasoned Marksman on level 1. Depending on the composition that eLevate is playing here, Reyna might actually decide to go into Give Me More on the first level. I could still see BOB Ross Fanclub trying to ban out Sonya, since it's usually one of the heroes that you're trying to keep away from Uther. But then there's also a Kerrigan to consider. There's a lot that you can pull off if you have an Uther with Divine Shield in your composition. So that's one of the things that BOB Ross Fanclub has to watch out for right now. When it comes to eLevate and their personal ban, they could even think about banning out one of the healers at this point. Keep in mind that there's also still a Tassadar around, which is also very highly valued, not only in the North American server, but also it's basically like a global thing. And there's the ban on Tassadar immediately. And that's already an interesting one, because if you go into a Sonya together with an Uther, or you attempt to, then using a Tassadar is something that you would like to do as well. And that doesn't only, it's not only true for Sonya, it's also true for any kind of other melee assassin. So that could already indicate that eLevate might not go down that path. Maybe they plan on adding a Zagara here, which is very strong in Sky Temple as well, and Tassadar can work against that. But the BOB Ross Fanclub bans out Mirrodin, so Zagara and Sonya are both open. I'm not quite sure if they would really commit to taking both of them. I kind of doubt it a bit, but one of the two heroes could end up in the draft for eLevate. Zagara, with a Tassadar being banned out, can guarantee you great vision on the map, because it's very annoying to get rid of all these creep tumors if you can't rely on Oracle, on Tassadar, and have to use your abilities to get them off. And she is an amazing solo lane at the bottom lane as well. There's that Sonya already that I mentioned. Uther plus Sonya, really strong. Zagara, still an option for both of the teams, but keep in mind that the BOB Ross Fanclub already has 2 damage dealers. So if they would commit to a Zagara as well, that would leave ETC as a solo tank at the front line. Can be played, but it's definitely something where it can get quite iffy. Sylvanas over Zagara now taken by eLevate. Now, she adds a little bit more during the fights when you are trying to go into the Wailing Arrow, but basically she has a very similar purpose than Zagara. She tries to push the lanes in, she can do a whole lot of that, as we all know, and of course she's also pretty solid as on the solo lane. But the BOB Ross Fanclub now has to counteract that somehow. And at this point, They don't have too much stun. I mean, Falstad, of course, has the disengage with the Mighty Gust on level 16. He gets that stun after with an auto attack in. We have Reyna as well. There's Charism now taken, which is a great and solid option to keep ETC alive. Another option would have been Brightwing here for them, since they could have tried to go and soak experience at the top lane, like at the off lane, as far away from possible from the temples. And they pick a Tyrael. So they are going to try and combo Tyrael together with ETC for that mosh pit, but it's also putting them in a position where they do not have a whole lot of stuns, and that might become a problem. eLevate actually adding a Johanna here at the end of the draft to complete their setup. Not really out of the ordinary for them to add another warrior here. You normally don't want to run Sonya as a single warrior, since she's just a little bit... She doesn't have the highest hit point pool, and survivability can be quite nice for her with Ferocious Healing on level 4 and of course, on level 7, and of course the abilities that she gains later on with a potential spell shield on 13, Stone Skin, aka Nerves of Steel on 16, but you want to have a second warrior next to her, and that's what eLevate is currently doing. So eLevate with a very solid draft here. BOB Ross has a lot of damage potential. They need to be careful though, since they don't have too much stun that they can use to really lock a target down, but already a pretty good start for us in a North America tournament. So let's jump right into Sky Temple and find out if the BOB Ross fan club can do it once again. Welcome everybody to game number 1 in our tournament here today, the End of the Storm North America, and we have the BOB Ross Fan Club. They are playing today against Team eLevate in the first round of the tournament, and well, to the left side of the map we have McIntyre on Tyrael, it's Zuna on Reyna, Erho on ETC, Arthelan on Falstad, Kenma on Charism. And to the right side of the map, we have Team eLevate with Nesper on Sonya, Killik on Kalthas, Hakfu on Sylvanas, Bossfloss on Johanna, and Bashix on Uther. This is like a best of 1 still. We're in the first round, as I already mentioned before. Pretty cool setup. We've been talking a bit about it during the draft. The one thing that I'm personally kind of excited about is to see if BOB Ross can really show that same style of play that they showed in the first tournament. Already a lot of aggression, and Bossfloss is in a bit of trouble here and is going down. Johanna eliminated in the first fight here. Very well played. A lot of aggression on the side of the BOB Ross Fan Club, and they played this one extremely well. They're currently rotating with 5 heroes on the map, which is kind of interesting, and there's Arthelan moving down to the bot lane. It's pretty normal to actually see Falstad at the bottom lane, because he can use his flying ability to just move straight into the temple fights in the middle or up at the top if he wants to. Hakfu is currently down to the bottom. In terms of talents, we have an interesting level 1 choice for Kalthas. The Fell Infusion has been taken over the Mana Addict, which you don't see all that often. Oh, Uther is actually in a bit of trouble up here as well. Bashix is already trying to get away, walking into the wrong direction though, and immediately they're jumping in to take him down. But Zuna is also in trouble. He gets gravity lapsed, and Zuna is dead. 2 kills for 1. It's still a pretty decent trade here for now, since they also were able to put some bit of damage in. Bot lane, we have of course Sylvana trying to fight back here. It is with the wind on level 1, pointing it out here again because, well, Barbed Shot is extremely popular on the North American server, where most of the other regions prefer with the wind. North America is using a lot of Barbed Shot, which is an amazing talent, by the way. Like, it's really, really strong, especially when you're playing on maps like Tomb of the Spider Queen. But in this case, it is with the wind that has been taken here. Also, I want to point out again that we have Give Me More for Reyna on level 1. He had the opportunity to go into a second season marksman after Falstad, but decided against it, and now temples are currently be taken on the map here everywhere. So in the mid lane, we currently have Erho, Bossfloss. Everybody's just like trying to go for this one at this point. Up to the top lane, we're seeing at the same time, at least for now, Team eLevate with not only level 4, but also Nespa in full control of the temple. Level 4 talent brings us straight into the Boundless Conviction on Uther, and they are trying to go for Tyrael here. McIntyre is actually starting to get a bit low here and jumps out with the Druid's Might, is able to escape, but the temple in the mid lane at least is fully in the hands of the BOB Ross Fan Club. They have their level 4s now as well, and that means right now that we have two hero talents with Rolling Like a Stone and with the double neck guitar that focus on the ability, on the power slide of ETC. So not going into any of these sustain talents that we have for him as well. No proc rock in this case. And we're seeing, of course, now on level 4 Power Flow. It was a level 1 talent, and in the recent patch he got moved. Oh, Hakfu actually eating quite a few damage points here from Arthelan. Well played by Falstad. And the rotation is happening as well. Hakfu is immediately using the wave, but it's of course of no use. He's too late for that. Rotation was not called apparently, and therefore he goes down. It's the 3rd kill now for the BOB Ross Fan Club. We have them with a slight lead in experience. They're currently at level 6 versus level 5, doing pretty pretty well here. But as we already said before, they've played only in one qualifier and they won that. Falstad actually fallen victim at the bot lane. Now that should have happened. They were 3 against 1 and just pushed in, and he died apparently to Khaldor. So pretty solid job by Killig. I can only imagine that Falstad didn't see that Khaldor was moving in, got hit by the gravity lapse and then taken out. But that was definitely something that should not have happened here. That's a kill in favor of Team eLevate, who suffered quite a bit on damage on Sonya, by the way, as she was taking the camp up at the right side of the map. So the Bruiser camp is now starting to move into the top lane. Level 7 talents are going to be quite important, but more so is the level 10 talent that could actually spawn by the time that we have the fight for the bottom temple on the map. So when it comes to the level 7 talents, mostly we don't really see too many surprises here. You have a bit of flexibility when it comes to ETC, but with the other heroes that we currently have in play, it's the Evolution Overdrive. It's the most powerful talent for Reyna on level 7. There are a few other choices that you have, but they are a bit situational. Battle Momentum is like the standard talent on Tyrael, and it's even more so if you're trying to go for the smite damage on level 1. We have on level 7 Loudspeakers taken, and Nespa and Killig were trying to take down Arthelan, but Falstad has been paying attention, and therefore it's not really a problem. Nice pressure up at the top though, I like this quite a bit. So we had a lot of pressure here against the fort on the side of Team eLevate. They're really playing a very solid game here thus far. We have them with Ferocious Healing on Sonya, so the sustain for her after the extra damage with the focus attack on level 4. And Unstable Poison helps Sylvanas now. Arthelan, on the other hand, he is eating a lot of damage, and Bossboss was nearly close enough to hit him with the Condemn, take him out, but Arthelan was back in time. So for now, both of the teams on level 8, we actually have... Oh, nice! Interrupts the be back. That's really cool. And that, of course, buys them a bit more time. Does it again! Arthelan has to fly farther back, and all of that buys them time in which they can just, like, soak a few of the temple shots. Very solid position here for eLevate. They have still soaking going on in the mid lane for both of the teams, as Hakfu is still using that for eLevate. And then again, BOB Ross Fanclub is starting to move in against Killig, but they're not getting him just yet. Arthelan is back to business. Tyrael is in trouble, though. He has to be really careful there, but Nespa is falling. Sonya is down in ETC. Wow, he slides through all 3 of them. They get Sylvanas immediately, and they might even get now Khaldor. Zuna is moving in, and here comes Kenma with a quick dash and takes him out. Great play here by the BOB Ross Fanclub, and they have the heroic abilities now. Level 10 versus level 9. We see Sanctification. We have, of course, the Mosh Pit. Mighty Gast has been chosen as well. It's very likely that we see the Hyperion, but no, it is Reyna's Raiders that we are seeing for Zuna here. So more single target damage than anything else, and we have, in this case, again, the 7-sided strike for Charism. Very popular in general when you are talking about Charism. I mean, we've even seen not only at DreamHack, but even before that at the Fragmite Masters Finals, that players are even committing to the Iron Fist talent on level 1 to get more damage out for the team and play, well, Charism as more of a melee assassin than anything else. But going into the 7-sided strike helps you, even if you go for the heal build, if you try to get more damage into these fights, especially, of course, with a heavy front line. And we have, in this case, a double warrior setup thanks to Sonya and also Jahan. Level 10s also reach on the side of Team eLevate, and they're running this with a Blessed Shield. We have the Divine Shield as well. There's also the Wailing Arrow to consider, Phoenix and Wrath of the Berserker. And Sonya down to the bot lane is in a bit of trouble against McIntyre and Arthelan. It's not too bad just yet, and he is able to escape here, but you can tell that the fort here is suffering quite a bit of damage, so it's not going to take too long for them to take it out. Same is also true of the top lane, by the way. So both of the teams can just basically sneak in and take one of these structures down and try to get a slight lead with this. We're already having at the same time now, once again, Erho and Bossfloss in the mid lane, 2 of the tanks going up against each other. It's a very careful play that they're running right now. Arthelan is at the bot lane again so that he can fly in. He's of course always attempting to just like push this in and then move back. And there he is already, but Bossfloss moves in. Here comes the dart. Mighty Gust being used. Cooldown is ridiculously low in this talent, by the way. It's not on the level of a Force Wall with that 12 seconds, but it's the exact same time that a Phoenix takes. With the difference that a Phoenix is, of course, a rogue ability that stands on the lane for a little bit longer, so the cooldown seems even lower with Phoenix. But Mighty Gust with 40 seconds is still one of those talents that we have in the game that has a ridiculously low cooldown for heroic ability. So right now, camps, once again, the focus of both of the teams. We see them move in, take Bruiser camp, take a Siege Giant camp, just all what they can do to prepare for the next temple. They want to time this so that the camp pushes the lane when the temple is activated, and that means that you will have to make a choice. Either you go for the temple or you go for the camp. In this case right now, it's an even split since we have 2 temples on the map, but it's a level 13 talent that we now see for the BOB Ross Fanclub that gives them a lead, and it's again the imposing will on Tyrael. We have now Groupies taken. No Prog Rock on level 1, but Groupies still worth it. And an attempt to take down Killing in the mid lane, but that was already prevented. In the same time, ETC was still on the spot, having the Giant Killer for Falstad, and here we see them going in again. Hawkfu is getting jumped by Tyrael. Tyrael moves in, gets Gravity Laps and McIntyre in a little bit of trouble, but uses the Sanctification, and Reyna's Raiders are pushing Team eLevate back. They don't really want to fight here. They don't have the level 13 talent, but they also have, still down to the bot lane, Sonya fighting for the temple and getting the last few shots in. That should eventually give them level 13, especially since they're also currently taking care of one of the Bruiser camps on the map, and that's of course going to drop some experience into the map as well. Top lane, Arthelan with the additional pressure. 6 kills against 2 for the BOB Ross Fanclub. They're doing solid here. We have no level 13 talent, by the way, for Karazhan. Normally you would see a Relentless here, and there it is. Relentless taken. There's a few adjustments that he can make on Karazhan, but Relentless is one of the most popular talents for him, since it helps him with the survivability, and that's a pretty cool thing to have for your healer. Because if he goes down in one of these fights, maybe as the first target, then you know that you're in trouble. McIntyre and Zuna already moving down to the bottom, trying to go straight for one of the camps, as we're seeing the top lane pushed heavily with the mercenary camp, and everybody else is moving in there too. But it's more about experience now than anything else. The BOB Ross Fanclub is still maintaining a solid experience lead, and they're not playing the most aggressive game here. They take the fights that they really have to, but besides that, they're just like sitting tight and trying to play this out smart, and it really works well for them. Already 7-sided strike used against Sonya. They're starting to jump in. Sonya with the Divine Shield here. In comes the Sanctification, but it looks, he's not gonna get away. The power slide was just a bit too much for Sonya to handle. Gets stunned out once again, and we might even see Johanna fall. McIntyre is there. All of the heroics have already been employed. Wailing Arrow is the only one actually that has not been used during the entire fight. So apparently Hawkfu deciding that he doesn't want to get that silence in. Could maybe have saved somebody there, but didn't really get in a good position as it seems. Level 15 versus level 14 at this point. We're currently seeing still that lead in experience for the BOB Ross Fanclub, securing vision at the top lane with a watchtower, and we have Zuna just making sure that he knows exactly what's going on, make sure that he also gets a bit more experience for his team. He currently has a pretty solid damage output here with 18,000 compared to the 16,000 that we're seeing for Falstad. Towards the end of the game, that should change a bit, since Falstad, of course, is capitalizing on those seasoned marksman stacks as well. So towards the late game, he's probably going to be able to push a bit more damage out than Reyna. But right now, it's still Kalthas who is taking the lead here. Kalthas is currently on 22,000 hero damage. We have McIntyre and Erho already in position here. They're actually trying to set up a bit of a trap here. Somebody forgot his carpet over here, by the way. I'm not quite sure what's up with that. But yeah, is that carpet? Is that a blanket? I don't even know. But why would you need a blanket on Sky Temple? I mean, it's sunny here. Carpet, I can see that. Flying around is always good. So we have at this point temples up, and this time it's only a single temple on the map. And we have the level 16 talent with the holy ground, and they start moving in. We do not have a giant killer on 13 for Reyna. He went into the double barrel, and we have on level 60 now the bullseye. With speed metal for ETC and eLevate, they move back. They realize that they won't be able to fight here without the level 16 talents, not in a 5 versus 5. And they're starting to rotate down to the bot lane. I mean, theoretically, you can try and go for the boss. The problem is that your opponent's team will always try to make sure that they know exactly what's happening. So if they see everybody just disappearing, they will send at least one hero down to check if your opponent is trying to sneak in a boss. And with a Falstad on the opponent's team, you don't really want to go for that, because that Falstad is going to give you hell with the Mighty Gust. Oh, they're trying to blow ETC up, but that's not going to work. Erho moving back. Keep in mind, the level 13 gave Kalthas, of course, a living bomb. So at this, or the chain bomb. So at this point, he has a pretty solid position here with the damage output. Once again, they jump in, and the Divine Shield saving Johanna after the 7-sided strike was used by Kenma. And he dashes in again. Haunting Wave used by Hawkfu. Once more, the Raiders in play, and down goes Kalthas. Great snipe. Boss Floss is also getting really low. They're pushing everybody else away, and Johanna is gonna fall. Not only Johanna, they're going now also, wow, they ignore Hawkfu for a while even. material as a counter kill, but it doesn't even matter anymore. It's 4 heroes down, and that of course means at least a complete eliminated wall. They could go for a keep here at this point. They don't have a Sylvanas in their midst, but they don't really need her. They have so much auto attack damage, and they are going straight for the keep at this point. It's very unlikely that they're going to be able to go for a core 2 with Khaldor being back in just a few seconds. But that early keep, 13 minutes in, is all that they need at this point. They can destroy a couple of structures, move back, take that tower on the way out, which is exactly what they're currently doing, and then concentrate, maybe even on the boss. The problem with going for boss now is that you have level 16 talents against you now as well. Imposing presence for Johanna. Not only for her, but we're seeing actually on the side of Sonya, the same talent, Imposing Presence, has been taken over the Nerves of Steel. Arcane Barrier, even though on level 1 we did not see the Felon Fusion, the two abilities synergize very well, but this is more about the early game sustain, where Khaldor was apparently a little bit worried for himself. Of course, Cold Embrace and Benediction pretty much the norm when you're talking about not only Sylvanas but also Uther. And we're having 2 more temples announced on the map. And as you can see, it's time for Mercenaries again. Very smart moves here on the side of BOB Ross. They push through the bot lane, they get the quad kill, and decide to go for one of the keeps, move back, take the camps, and put more pressure onto Team eLevate and try to secure at least one of those temples now. They don't necessarily have to fight at this point because they are they're very close to level 19, and that will put them into a 2-level lead once again, once that we have 17 on the side of eLevate. And eLevate actually moves around. They ignore even McIntyre here. I don't even want to go for him. They just want to have some shots on the temples, making sure that they're dropping a couple of structures. The problem for them is that they just now eliminated the last tower in the mid lane, and that means that they are now beginning to take down a few of the structures surrounding the keeps, whereas one keep in the entire bottom lane has already been eliminated. And here's the boss attempt that we're seeing on the side of the BOB Ross Fanclub. Mighty Gust being used. The boss is stolen, or, well, not stolen, but captured by BOB Ross Fanclub, and now they're going in again. Boss Floss is down, and that is the beginning of the end, maybe. ETC has a counter kill, but it's not looking good for Nespa. He's a great holy ground, and McIntyre is just body blocking everybody. It's a triple kill once again as Khaldor explodes, and McIntyre, he really wants Akfu, and he is going to get Sylvanas here. Oh, is he? Haunting Wave is in. Uther now dying as well. He can actually heal, but there's the double barreled, or at least the stun for now with the bullseye, and now of course they can just simply go for core as the boss is already attacking it. Level 20 talents have also been hit, and that's of course a ton of damage thanks to a double Nexus Frenzy, and in this case the Nexus Blades for the extra damage to make sure they can take this down. And we have, once again, the BOB Ross Fanclub moving on to the next round of the tournament here at the end of the Storm North America. Alright everybody, that's it for today. Thank you very much for watching the video. I hope that you enjoyed the commentary and also the game. If you really liked it, feel free to also share it with your friends, especially of course if they're interested in Heroes of the Storm esports. And if you like the video, then also hit that thumbs up button on YouTube. And if you want to support the channel and myself, then you can subscribe to the channel if you haven't done that yet. Thanks again for watching today. I really hope that you enjoyed the show. It was a pleasure casting for you. And I hope to see you guys next time with more Heroes of the Storm here on Khaldor TV.